Good evening, Yorktown, and welcome to the Town Board meeting for December 21st, 2021. A early Merry Christmas to all who are celebrating. If you could please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Tonight, if you could join me in a moment of silence as we say a special prayer for our frontline heroes, our healthcare heroes, those who are once again battling the surge of COVID-19. And if we can also keep in our thoughts and prayers all of our friends, family, and neighbors who have been impacted and affected once again by the COVID-19 virus. May we pray for peace and harmony during this holiday season and healing as we continue through this latest wave. Thank you.
Amen.
Amen.
Well, welcome again to we're back virtual to our virtual town board meeting. We'll do introductions quickly. Supervisor Matt Slater, joined by Councilman Tom Diana, Councilman Vishnu Patel, Councilman Ed Lachterman. Councilman Roker is unable to join us tonight. We wish her well. We have with us also our town clerk, Diana Quast, and our town attorney, Adam Rodriguez. You'll also see on the screen we have our town engineer, Dan Ciarcia, with us. Just a brief report to start the evening off. We do have an update on COVID, and I just want to share my screen so we can provide the details as we have them from today's count. We have seen another significant increase here in the town of Yorktown, which is not unlike other places. I'm just going to share this here. And so this is our community impact dashboard right on the town's website. It continues to provide all the information that we receive from our partners in government. The data is provided to us by the Department of Health almost on a daily basis, except for the weekends. And we continue to provide this in a very transparent manner. The purpose of which isn't to scare people, not to fearmonger, but just to provide information. Really important that we provide information so that you can make the best decisions for yourself, for your family, and for our community. Today, as you can see here, we have 55 new cases. We did expect a significant increase yesterday, which we saw. That's a result of 3 straight days of record-setting positive COVID tests, not just here in the town of Yorktown, but Westchester County, the state of New York. So records set. And then, of course, we're seeing this happening across the country. This is where we are today. We had 55 new cases and these again, new cases or cases meaning that they had tested positive for COVID-19 at a healthcare facility, not an at-home COVID test. The at-home COVID tests aren't reported. So these are only for people who got tested at a healthcare facility. So here we are today, 439 active cases in the town of Yorktown. You can see the line. And this is where, I gave 2 updates yesterday. I'm going to say it again. We're in a much better position today than we did and where we were last December. This is where we went last winter, up this peak here, up this mountain, to January 12th. This is where we topped out, and here we are again in December, following the same trajectory, if not more, climbing again another wave, another peak. So here we are at 439 active cases. Again, an active case meaning someone diagnosed with COVID-19 over the last 10 days. Again, if I want to just bring this one back up, we saw this coming. We anticipated this coming. Here we are after Halloween, coming up to Halloween, and right after Halloween is when we started climbing. And that was anticipated by healthcare professionals, by the Commissioner of Health, Shalita Amler, who joined me yesterday for one of our updates. And the increase was expected. It was expected because of the winter months. It was expected because of the gatherings, expected because of the holidays, and it continues to go up. Now, we are dealing with a new variant, the Omicron variant, and that is a variant that we are learning more and more about each day. We are learning that it is much, much more contagious, but we are also learning that it is not nearly as lethal. We're learning that also, though, that the vaccine is our best weapon against this virus. Whether you had the J&J vaccine, Moderna vaccine, Pfizer vaccine, a vaccine is the difference between getting cold-like symptoms and, frankly, winding up in the hospital in extreme cases. And that's why the vaccine is so important. We had our 63rd booster clinic, or 63rd vaccine clinic. It was a booster clinic today. Over 200 boosters were administered. Our next one is next week on the Tuesday, the 28th. Honestly, they're already it's already full. We're already planning another one after that. So we are responding to the residents of Yorktown and their desire to receive the vaccine, receive their booster shots. We also had pediatric vaccines that we've rolled out as well, and we're going to continue to provide this great service. I really want to thank Save More Pharmacy, our partners from the beginning. Taconic Pharmacy has been great as well. I really want to thank Kira Brunner from my office here in Town Hall, because she's the one who quarterbacks these events over at the Cappellini Center or the John C. Hart Library. We had them up at St. Mary's Episcopal Church, Mohegan Lake. So we are doing our best to make sure that this is there's local access to the vaccine here in the town of Yorktown. I want to talk quickly about testing. We recognize and understand that there is a high demand for testing. We recognize and understand that we have a lot of options here in the town of Yorktown that are completely maxed. I think it's important that we recognize that those who are administering the tests, those who are running these urgent care centers, the doctor's offices, they're under an incredible amount of stress, incredible amount of pressure, and we owe them an incredible debt of gratitude. So please, if you're going to one of our healthcare facilities here in the town of Yorktown, please show them that respect. And I understand, again, everyone's stressed out for the holidays. There's a lot of anxiety in the air. People are obviously worried about this current situation. I know that we're going to get through this. I genuinely believe that. But the only way we're going to get through it is by working together, by being good neighbors to each other, and by being kind to each other and respecting the fact that we're all facing this latest peak together. Again, going back to testing, recognizing the need for more, I'm very excited to share that we have worked with Sergio Esposito, Councilman-elect. Sergio has been a great partner, and I've asked him to spearhead an effort to bring additional testing options to the town of Yorktown. He's going to expand on that when we have more details, but there will be a resolution that I'll read in for tonight's town board meeting. But we do seem to have, again, a public-private partnership with another entity that's going to provide additional testing here in the town of Yorktown, and we believe that's going to begin next week. As soon as we have more details, we're going to provide that for everybody, but this will hopefully alleviate some of the pressures that we're seeing on our local testing sites and provide that additional option for our residents and neighboring communities as well. I know that Councilman Diana is going to talk about the ongoing construction here at Town Hall and give a great update on that. I do want to remind residents that our town facilities at this point in time they're closed to visitors. And the reason we did that is because we want to make sure that town government continues to function. And the way we ensure town government continues to function is by protecting our employees. We've already had, I can tell you, I'm dealing with this every hour. Several employees, unfortunately, have come down with COVID that we either exposed outside of work or here in work, but we've had several employees just today alone and yesterday as well, unfortunately, come down with COVID. But we're focused on making sure that government continues to operate. And so we want to protect our employees, but we also want to protect the general public. So all town facilities are closed to visitors. We're going to take this in 2-week strides. So we're going to come back after the first of the year and reassess the situation to see where we are. As I don't know if you saw, but I think I said earlier, last year we topped out on January 12th. That's where we hit the peak. If you listen to some of the experts that we continue to hear from, They're hopeful that it won't be as long this time around, but we're going to have to take it step by step. It's an evolving situation. Again, we've been through this before, so we can manage it better. So again, all town facilities closed to residents, but again, reassuring you, government continues to operate. You can call, you can email, and we can help you with any and all of your needs. Our library has transitioned to their porch side pickup. They've done a great job innovating and continuing to provide those services to the residents. And so that is back in action. And I know that some residents may not have heard that just yet, but yes, the library is closed to the general public, but porch side pickup has resumed. There will be another town board meeting on the 28th. That is a work session. All of our meetings are virtual, both the town board, planning board, any one of our boards. They're all virtual meetings, again, so we can limit the gatherings, limit the exposure while we're going through this latest surge. All I want to add on the COVID front, again, we know it works. We've been through this before, and we're going to get through this one as well. We know we can get through it together. We're going to get through it together. I also just want to give a plug to our small businesses. Really important that if you're going to go, and I got some of my holiday shopping finished today, I went to local small businesses here in Yorktown. And it's really important that we continue to support them. They're going through a very, very difficult time. Many of them are struggling just to keep their doors open, and they were banking on this holiday season to get them over the hump, to get them back on track. And it's really important that we continue to show our support during this time. Just 3 non-COVID related announcements that are actually good news, believe it or not. We actually have some early Christmas presents for the town of Yorktown that I'm very excited to share tonight. The town has received word that we have received 3 grants. The Hudson Valley Greenway grant for $15,000 for a wetland inventory. And that was an application put through by our partners at LaBerge. Our Climate Smart Communities Task Force, just doing an awesome job, helping make Yorktown a regional leader in sustainability, a regional leader in renewable energy. We heard from NYSERDA that we have received a $5,000 grant for their clean energy for being a clean energy community. So we're very, very excited about that. And we're going to be working with the CSC task force to see how we can reinvest that $5,000 into more sustainability initiatives and renewable energy initiatives. And last but not least, we did receive word today. The state of New York announced through the Water Quality Improvement Program, again, another grant program that we did apply for in partnership with the LaBerge Group, who we brought on to help us with these grants. And we did put in an application, and the state of New York has awarded the town of Yorktown $5.7 million, which is going to go towards the pump station remediation projects. Now, I know we may have some skeptics, so I just wanted to pull it up and show it to you myself. And here it is on the round 17 award list. And I don't know why the screen's a little funky there, but town of Yorktown to complete improvements to its Crystal Lake, Salem, Mohansick, and Hanover East pump stations. The project will reduce sanitary sewer overflows and the amount of phosphorus entering the Halleck's Mill Brook. Again, $5.7 million. And we are very thankful to our partners on all levels of government, because we had support letters from State Senator Pete Harcum, State Assemblyman Kevin Byrne, County Executive George Latimer, our county legislators. And so it was a real team effort to show the importance of this project, and also to our engineering department, who recognized that this was something that we could be doing and jumped on it. So I really want to thank them as well, but very, very excited to share that $5.7 million awarded to the town of Yorktown earlier today. And that concludes my report to the town. Again, I want to wish everyone a very, very Merry Christmas. Again, making good decisions, enjoying the holiday. I know I got 2 small kids in my house. Every morning they're already bouncing off the walls, trying to get ready for Santa. And it's an exciting time. It's a fun time, a great time to be with family. And I just wish everyone a very happy and healthy and Merry Christmas. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Councilman Diana, and Councilman, you can update us as well.
Thank you, Supervisor. Merry Christmas early to everybody. Won't see you before that, so I figured I'd get that in also. To all that celebrate Christmas. As a lot of you may have noticed, there is quite a flurry of activity in the front of Town Hall. As I had said at the last meeting, we did have an oil release, most commonly known as a spill. It was a leaking tank. We've been cleaning that up. And to date, we've removed approximately 100 tons of contaminated soil. The dig at this point has stopped. Tomorrow we'll be bringing in a geoprobe to look at some areas that are potential hotspots, as we call them in the industry, to where some pockets of contaminated soil may or may not be. So rather than disturb more than has to be or undermine stuff where we don't have to, we decided to go that route to comply with DEC, who will also be on the scene, I believe, tomorrow morning. And if you drive around the building, you'll notice a brand new handicap accessible ramp, which is absolutely gorgeous. They've done a heck of a job in completing that thing so that we can stay ADA compliant at all times. Although Town Hall isn't open right now and nobody gets a chance to use the new ramp, it's there and it's ready to be used. We had lighting put up. We moved one light so that it would illuminate that area. And if you get a chance, drive by. It's going to be nice once we go into the next phase. But before I go there, you'll notice that the steps are gone in front of Town Hall because we feel that there's the possibility of a release of oil that also went in, under, or around the front steps. These will be rebuilt in phase 2, but once we get Town Hall and so forth on the reopening path, we will be putting up some temporary steps and a landing there at that location. Phase 2 is going to be a rebuild of the front of Town Hall to include landscaping and also a new look of the front. With that, we are scheduled for new boilers. Now, we don't want to have the same problem as we had within the past couple of weeks. So we've been working with Con Edison, and we're in the process now of getting the plans to go across Underhill Avenue with the gas line and have it brought up to the Town Hall. So that's our newest venture. Hopefully that will work out relatively soon. I'm going to ask Dan if he had any update on that as soon as I get done with this. And that's basically as long as we have it dug up. There's no sense digging it up twice and having to repatch it twice. So let's do it once, let's do it right, and let's do it efficiently. I have to put a big shout out to my team that's been working on this. Dan Ciarcia, who just came on there, thank you so much for all your help. Our building inspector, John Landy, who's been a big help during this whole thing. Our building boss, Phil Marino. Our building's foreman, Al Pisano, and his head guy, Chris Moran, who has been working very diligently on that ADA compliant rampway. And I'd be remiss in not thanking Pat Caporal, who, without her financial expertise, a lot of this wouldn't be possible. And also John Tegeter, who's going to work on the restructure of the front of Town Hall with regard to plantings, et cetera, and also to the new steps and how that's going to be laid out. So it's going to be a work in progress for a little while. There are going to be some inconveniences, but the bottom line is it's going to be environmentally cleaned up It's going to give a new look to Town Hall, and I think people are really going to like what they see. And that being said, thank you everybody who's my excuse me, on my team who's helped with this. Can't do it alone, and Luzon's been doing a heck of a job there with what they do. The Chamber of Commerce has decided not to do the ball drop, and that was because of this COVID outbreak that we have had. I think it was a prudent decision. We were ready. We had everything in place to do this on New Year's Eve, but it was felt that, we don't want to have a super spreader, so to speak, and have it come back on the Chamber of Commerce or the town of Yorktown. So it's been decided not to do the ball drop on New Year's Eve for that reason. And one last thing, I just want everybody to keep in mind, since this COVID has been around, and this all goes part and parcel with COVID, I want everybody to keep in mind the mental health of the people that are out there, because a lot of people are still locked in. They're still suffering. They're still worried. There's a lot of things that happen here. We've lost 100,000 people just due to the substance addiction and abuse within the past year. It goes back to the old heroin epidemic. And, people are taking shelter where they can. And unfortunately, it comes back to drugs, where a lot of them are overdosing and passing away due to that. So, folks, if you see somebody that's suffering, try and reach out to them, or try and reach out to the professionals that are out there so that they can get some help. That's all I have. Merry Christmas to everybody.
Thank you, Councilman Diana. Councilman Patel, report to the town.
Yes, let me just start saying it and showing you, put your mask. Vaccine will be protected, mask will protect you from virus, and all the safety precaution, we have been doing it. Just do it, because some people have their own view and belief, but nobody has the right to infect other people. If you get infected, if you say this is my freedom and whatever, I think that it's really unhuman to infect other knowingly or unknowingly. So just maybe it will go away faster, but take the vaccine and be safe and be well and be enjoy your holidays. Now, just a second ago, I heard Councilman Diana is talking about who is going to sign up in a final speak. If the DEC will involve, DEP, because it's too far away, not from there. So we cannot afford to take any shortcut. Okay, we have a history, and prove it there we are right this time. And this is the problem with the furnace and everything is not really not new, but if you can get a gas, is a wonderful thing, then it will make us really very reliable source of heat and whatever we want to use it. So thank you again. Be well and be safe, and happy holiday, happy New Year, Merry Christmas.
Thank you,
to Vishnu's point on that, yes, we're following all DEC protocols and so on and so forth. We have an engineer that's there that's making sure it's done right, and the DEC is in constant contact with us. If I could just bounce back on one thing, Supervisor, I just wanted to pick on Dan Ciarcia for just 1 second, and you could just fill us in a little bit on your conversation with Con Edison with regard to the gas.
Okay, let me just answer one of Vishnu's concerns, though. The representative from the DEC is going to be out tomorrow morning, right. And based upon what he sees, we'll make a determination that the spill has been cleaned up to his satisfaction. So they're very much a part of this process. So just wanted you to know that we're following those protocols. As far as Con Ed goes, we've compiled the information. We've opened up a case with them to bring the gas in. We had actually looked at this probably like 8 years ago. So they kind of know what our loads are, and we have to bring it from across from the the farm stand over by the courtyard over in that area where the sign is.
Yep.
So we hope to be meeting with Con Ed representatives early next year, get the project figured out and hopefully under construction during the winter.
Great. And
I have a question for the town engineer, or anybody else wants to answer it. How far we are going to go to check for the leak, passing the backside the driveway, or beyond in the wetland and the woods? Because if we don't know how long how much was oil came out and how long, because liquid goes down, not up. Okay.
Well,
Make sure that town is protected and health and well-being of all of us will be protected too.
Well, we've dug down about 14 feet, and there's different foundation structures that create some difficulties in excavating, as well as the 14 feet is where the bedrock is, so we can't go any deeper. So the purpose of bringing the geoprobe out tomorrow is in areas that we can't readily get to, we're going to drill down and sample the soil to see if there's any petroleum hydrocarbons present in those samples. The inspector from the DEC is also, I guess, informally asked us, and I think after he gets out here, we'll decide on other locations. But I think to put him at ease that the plume hasn't headed toward the wetlands, we're going to do we're going to drill down behind Town Hall to see if it's traveled there. So, as I said, the DEC is very much involved with this, and whatever their recommendations are in terms of what the limit of the cleanup is, we'll obviously follow that and make sure that this spill incident is cleaned up properly.
Thank you for protecting the town and well-being of the environment and the people, those who live, further down. So thank you again.
Well, Councilman Diana has been fantastic taking the lead on this, and with Dan and so many other partners here from town government, but also outside of town government. It's been all hands on deck approach, and it's been working very, very well. And we're very confident that we're going to come to an acceptable conclusion up to the DEC standards, and that's what we're banking on, and that's what we're working with.
The reservoirs are not too far away, Reservoirs are not too far away from the town,
Yep.
And any activity goes even behind the, new building and like that. They are very.
We will make sure that
we want to be sure.
Councilman, we're going to make sure that we're meeting DEC standards, and if DEC thinks that it goes beyond that, then of course we're going to do the right thing there as well. Councilman Lackerman.
Thank you, Supervisor.
Thank you.
You know what? I will say thank you, Supervisor Slater and Councilman Diana, for both, taking this head on, because as I remember correctly, I want to say going back about 11 years ago, we had the opportunity to take care of this before it became an issue. And we were penny wise, pound foolish with that board then. And,
I think you locked up, Ed.
Yeah, I think Ed's frozen.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you. There you go. You're back.
Okay. So, I'm getting an unstable connection. Anyway, thank you for both of you for spearheading this and being on top of it. And then from the point of view of, what's happening in town with the ball drop, it's a disappointment, but a prudent decision. I don't have much else other than to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. And whether you celebrate or not, still have a merry day on the 25th. And just enjoy yourself, enjoy your family, and have a great time.
Thank you, Councilman.
See, Ed gets the best of both worlds, though. It's
I
not
do.
fair. It's not fair, Ed. You have the 7 days of Hanukkah, and then you get Christmas too. Man, oh man, you're like an only child. You know that?
So 8 days of Hanukkah, 12 days of Christmas, so it's 20 days of celebration. But I will tell you, being married into a Catholic family, I do miss Chinese food in a movie on Christmas. We used to do that all the time. So I do miss that.
Oh, I say 7 to 8 days of Hanukkah. I'm sorry.
That's
I
okay.
apologize.
All right, so we're going to keep going. Our highway superintendent sends his best to everyone and wishes everyone a Merry Christmas, but was unable to make the meeting tonight. And we are going to turn it over to our poet laureate, John McMullen. John.
May I say something?
Yes, Councilman.
I want to thank either the town of Yorktown or Department of DOT. They fill between Broad Street and Evergreen, the curve.
Yep.
Thank you. It was really, whatever we did it or whoever did it, thank you. Thank you. It is a very dangerous turn, I tell you.
That would be the town of Yorktown. That's our highway department.
Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you.
That's our highway department, and they do a great job.
Yes, they do.
John, poem is yours.
I one announcement first. Even with the closing of the library, that we still have the Yorktown Poetry Library. Poetry Workshop that's sponsored by the John C. Hart Library. That will be tomorrow, and I will put into the into the chat room how people can belong to it and everything.
Thank you.
I have a bunch of poems I was considering, and one of them had to do with really on December 7th, because it was obviously Pearl Harbor Day, and it was another reason for it. I decided to do that anyhow, even though it's now 2 weeks after that.
Mm-hmm.
Bob Dole. Bob Dole was an American hero, a wounded veteran who spent 39 months in a hospital and lost the use of limbs. He was a lawyer, a state representative, a U.S. member of the House, the Senate, a United States Senator, majority leader of the Senate, candidate for vice president, and candidate for president. A respected Republican, he was or a staunch Republican. He was respected by members of both parties, was a close friend of now President Joe Biden, and received the Presidential Medal of Freedom by President Bill Clinton, the man who defeated him in the campaign for president. His death at 98 reminds me of another wounded veteran and staunch Republican, also the loser of the use of an arm, John McCain. While confronted of a bigoted attack on his revival in the presidential campaign, he said, "No, he is a good man who I disagree with politically," and Barack Obama gave him one of the eulogies at his funeral. Two men, both political partisans, who gave the piece of their body to the service of their country, and came home with much more, but with humor and the respect of the friendship of both parties and foes alike. Do we need to have terrible wars to develop such leaders? I hope not. Thank you very much for putting up with me.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Have a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas,
Same
John.
to all of you.
Enjoy, John.
And to Diana.
All right, so we have some resolutions for personnel. We will appoint Domenico J. Denotti. If I mispronounce his name, I apologize, to the position of police officer in the Yorktown Police Department. We'll also authorize Jeffrey Dalkey to carry over accrued time from 2021 to 2022. And then in addition to that, we'll just do all the resolutions at once. We have one more that we are taking out of closed, and it reads that resolve the supervisor is authorized to execute a laboratory services access agreement with Ridgewood Diagnostics Lab for the provision of a COVID-19 testing site on an as-need basis at the Granite Knolls Sports Complex. Motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's carry. We will now go to courtesy of the floor. and we'll turn it over to our town clerk, Diana Quas.
We have a lot of people on, so I'm going to do the ones that I know, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
First is Susan Siegel.
Good evening, Ms. Siegel.
Good evening. Whoops.
Susan, do you want to speak at courtesy?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I just had to shut my TV link. Thank you very much. Congratulations, Town Board, on those grants. I'm especially delighted to hear about the $5.7 million for the Alex Mill pump stations. And I look forward to seeing the new board, go out for bid specs as soon as possible on that. There are just two questions that I have that I would appreciate an update on. Several meetings back, there were discussions about a potential solar moratorium. I think Councilman Diana was promoting that one, and also amendments to the solar law. Obviously, the moratorium would put a halt to processing applications pending the amendments, and there were some very good amendments suggested. I'd just like to know what the status of that will be. Obviously, it will be with the new town board, but will you be going to a moratorium first while you consider changes to the law? The second issue I would appreciate some clarification on, and I'm glad that our town attorney is on this, because I've addressed some emails to Mr. Rodriguez, also supervisor, and a few other town officials about some construction that is going on Broad Street, just south of Granite Springs Road. There's, can't remember, either one or two new buildings going up. There were two lots that I explained in my email had been granted building permits, but based on a planning board resolution, one lot was supposed to be deeded to the town. So I wanted clarification as to why a building permit was issued for a lot that was supposed to be deeded to the town. And all the documentation was sent to the town, was sent to several people in town. Initially on December 1st, I asked what was happening. I didn't get a response. I sent a follow-up letter, email on December 10th. And again, what's happening, and I haven't heard back. So I'm hoping that somebody could answer that question. Also the solar. And while I await for your response, I wish everybody a happy holiday and a very healthy new year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Siegel.
Next is Paul Moskowitz.
Great. Good evening, Mr. Moskowitz.
I do not wish to speak at courtesy of the floor. I'm waiting for the second hearing.
Thank you.
Okay, and I'm thinking everybody else is for the hearings, but I'm just going to check an iPhone here.
Oh.
Sir, good evening. Are you here for the courtesy of the floor or for one of the public hearings?
For me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, public hearing.
Okay. Which public hearing?
Is the, hold on a second.
Almeida.
Yes.
For the Hector.
Yep.
Almeida?
Almeida. Yep. No problem. We'll come back to you. No problem.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So if there's
I'm pretty sure the rest are for the public hearing for Almeida.
okay, so we'll make a motion to close courtesy of the floor.
So moved.
I'm sorry. Wait, we have one person left. I think is Sergio on?
He just came on, and Sarah Wilson just came on, so I'm going to let them both in.
I'm sorry. We're going to rescind that motion. So we have courtesy still on, and we have both Sarah and Sergio. So we'll start with Sarah. Sarah Wilson, do you want to speak for courtesy of the floor?
No, I'm for the public hearing.
Okay, thank you. Sergio Esposito, courtesy of the floor.
Good evening, guys. How's everybody doing?
Good, Serge.
Good.
Yeah, just a couple of quick points. As you already heard, I had to make the difficult but I think responsible decision to cancel the New Year's Eve ball drop. I really don't believe we would have been able to move forward with it anyway, given the current COVID trend, which really isn't in our favor. So the ball drop is off this year and it'll be back next year. That said, I still wanted to do something for the town. And with that, the idea and opportunity arose to bring an additional testing facility to the town of Yorktown. I know the supervisor mentioned it. It was part and parcel the supervisor's idea as well. Lines are simply, just out the door at every urgent care. I mean, no matter where you go, it's really hard to get a test. So I reached out to Supervisor Slater to facilitate a location that was not or did not utilize any indoor town facility. I didn't want COVID patients coming in or potentially COVID positive people. The supervisor agreed. And can I mention where we're proposing to have the site? Is that okay?
Yeah, we passed it in the resolution. It's so you can say it.
Okay, so we're looking at Granite Knolls, and the diagnostic company is going to come in, set up a trailer there, and they'll be doing. Hopefully it'll start Monday. We're still a little iffy on when they're going to be coming in, but there'll be another site there for people to get the rapid COVID tests. I think. The details are still a little cloudy, but definitely the PCR test. Of course, it'll be free, or it'll go on your insurance. If not, it'll go to the state and the government to be paid for. Other than that, I'm hoping everybody has a great holiday. I'm hoping that this additional testing site will help facilitate a great holiday for at least some families in Yorktown, because I know that's the biggest concern. Nobody wants to bring COVID back to their family and especially their loved ones and the elderly that may be attending their festivities. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year if I don't get the opportunity to address you guys again. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Sergio, and thank you for your help and leadership and partnership on the new testing site that we hope to bring and we plan on bringing next week. I think it's a really important step, and again, proof that local government can innovate and partner with great people to provide important services to the town. So we're looking forward to getting that off the ground and providing that important service to our residents. So thank you, and I agree with your decision to cancel the ball drop. I think that as Councilman Diana had said earlier, and I agree with him as well. A prudent decision, and the last thing we want is to put people in harm's way, and so we are actually rethinking. I should have mentioned this earlier, but we're actually rethinking some of the inauguration festivities as well, and postponing those so that we can, like I said, reassess and see where we're at, so we can do it in a very safe way, because it's an important milestone for many, and but we want to make sure that we're not putting people in harm's way. So very similar to the decision made by the chamber. So thank you. All right, with that, I'm sorry, can we make a motion to close?
So moved.
Hold on one second. Is there anybody else that would like to speak?
For courtesy of the floor.
For courtesy of the floor.
This is not the public hearing. This is courtesy of the floor. Nope. So we'll make a motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any comments from the board?
Just with regard to the moratorium, I think we have been working towards a mean to that end, so that we don't have to go to moratorium. I know the supervisor and I have come up with a few things that I think were troubling most people, and we have increased and or decreased and done a couple things. And right after the first of the year, we're going to bring them to fruition, so to speak, and strengthen that law a little bit so that we don't have these problems.
Correct, Councilman. The amendments are planned for 2022.
Yep.
So we can bring those forward. And then Adam, Mr. Rodriguez, we've discussed the issue that Ms. Siegel raised with some of our department heads. Do you want to provide an update on that?
Yeah, I mean, my understanding is that the parcel that Ms. Siegel claims was supposed to be deeded to the town, but there was a permit issued for it is not the same parcel that was deeded to the town. So I think there's a confusion as to which parcel is which.
Okay. So, and our department heads are working to rectifying that to make sure that we know which parcel is being deeded, which parcel received a building permit, but we all agree that there was one parcel deeded to the town. And so we're going to make sure that that is properly noted and honored. And with that, we're going to go to, if there's any other comments from the board? No? We will go to public hearings. We have 3 public hearings tonight. First public hearing is to consider a wetlands, stormwater management, and tree permit submitted by Mr. Almeida of property located at 1875 Brookdale Street. The town clerk will show the notice. We have our town engineer, Dan Ciarcia, with us. Dan, are you there?
Yes, we're here.
Thank you. Thank you, Diana. Diana showing the notice. I want to welcome Joe Rena of the engineer for the project. We have Mr. Almeida with us. I know that I see a few others. I don't know if they're with your team or not. But Mr. Rena, do you want to reintroduce this application to the board and the public?
Certainly, Mr. Supervisor and members of the board. Good evening, Joseph Rena, the principal of Site Design Consultants, representing Heitor Almeida at 1875 Brookdale Street. In May of 2020, Mr. Almeida, well, before I go there, can I share my screen?
Yes, you should be able to.
Okay. Everybody see the plan here?
Yes.
Okay. In May of 2020, Mr. Almeida was issued a tree permit to remove 77 trees on his property, mainly on the south side, or this area here where or the left side of the home and driveway. Actually, of that 77 trees he was issued a permit for, 51 of those trees were actually of regulation size, and 41 of those trees were non-native trees, and 3 were dead. The area was considerably less than 10,000 square feet, so it was not considered a woodland. And
I'm sorry, if you're not, I'm sorry, Mr. Rena, can we just make sure everyone's muted? If you're not a board member or Mr. Rena, we can eliminate some of the background noise. Thank you. Continue, Mr. Rena.
Okay. Anyway, so he was issued a tree permit under those conditions. To the north side of the home, this area here, which is outlined in green, there is a local town wetland there. Mr. Almeida exceeded the limits of the wetland in the work that he was doing in cleaning up his property. And by entering the wetland, while the purpose for entering the wetland was to remove dead, fallen trees, limbs, and vegetation, the removal of trash, including liquor bottles, and to remove a car engine block and other trash that had been deposited in that area. He went in with a small backhoe to remove some stumps. Additionally, he expanded the footprint of fill into the wetland. So this area here, this orange line here, this is the original limit of fill that was permitted in the wetland when the house was constructed. So this area here was filled wetland, but it was permitted to be filled under the original wetland permit. So he extended beyond that. which is not reflected on here. It's actually a little more than this, but through the process and in conversations with the Conservation Board, we've pulled this back somewhat.
I'm sorry, Mr. Reed, what do you mean you pulled it back somewhat? I mean, if he went into if he expanded the footprint, are you going to reduce the footprint?
Exactly. That I should clarify that is part of the proposal, that we are going to pull some of that back, and that's reflected on this plan here. So we show the wall pulled back, as well as the grading into the wetland. And so this is, this is as a result of discussions with the Conservation Board.
Mm-hmm.
So other improvements that were, so this is the area again that was disturbed. This area here that's hatched in green is roughly the area that he was within, and did some ground disturbance. To give you an idea of what we're talking about, so this montage of photos here up at the top, this is the wooded area and wetland prior to his purchase of the house. These are photos he took at the open house when the house was for sale, and this is what it looks like now. So the major trees that are there are still there. What you don't see is the brush and some of the fallen debris that was in that wetland there. That was in the wetland at the time. This is now a debris pile that he hasn't touched since he was given the stop work order, and that's part of the mitigation to remove that from the wetland. So, as part of the plan that's being proposed, and I'll get to the mitigation part after I describe the rest of the site plan. Mr. Almeida is proposing to plant evergreens along this border here. You can see the evergreens here being shown. In addition to that, there are several pipes from neighboring properties which discharge onto his property, and in the past have caused erosion issues and heavy discharge of silt onto his driveway. The intent is to put in a pipe header system to collect those pipes and tie them into the drainage system that's out in Brookdale, which was installed as part of the construction of this house. So that's along this edge here, and also along the back of the property here. The collection pipe that's going to go along the back of the property here will not tie into the drainage system that's in Brookdale, but instead will flow to a level spreader, which will dissipate the flow and recharge the wetland. So it's going to actually provide an increased balance of water going to the wetland area.
So it's not. So I'm sorry, Mr. Reno, but it's not going to be diverted to neighboring property.
It is not going to be diverted to neighboring properties. No. There are no neighboring properties which are up down gradient from this site, other than the ones that are across the road.
Right.
And there's a major stone swale that intercepts any of that water before it even reaches Brookdale.
Okay. I just want to make sure we're clear.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question here? What is the difference between now and before?
The difference between now and before is what we're talking about is the disturbance to the wetland. Is that what you're asking me?
Yes, the damage. Is there any more damage now, or
no?
Before?
Once he was given a stop work order, he did not proceed any further. Additionally, what Mr. Almeida is proposing, he would like to put a shed at the rear right corner of the house, back up in here. We're showing a post and rail fence to provide, to kind of cordon off this area, which would, provide protection to the wetland. And that's about the extent of the improvements that go. I should add also the retaining walls that he wants to construct along the front of the property here, so that he can level off somewhat the front yard of the property. That material is at the site now, and it has been sitting there since he started the project and has received a stop work order. Additionally, he wants to expand the driveway on this side here, and we're providing some stormwater mitigation to pick up that increased stormwater from that impervious surface. That's it as far as the improvements that are being requested to be as part of this permit process, because a majority of this work is in the buffer, and that work is all we've tabulated the amount of disturbance as per the original approval, new disturbance, and the proposed mitigation of this area here that we have in green, which is about 4,000 square feet plus or minus. But there's additional mitigation that's being proposed. So that additional mitigation that's being proposed is on a plan that was done by Steve Marino from Tim Miller Associates. So the proposal includes, I'll just highlight, zoom right in here. So he outlines what the mitigation proposal is. That's to remove debris and rubbish from the wetland, which will proceed excavation and planting of the mitigation plants. The limits of the restoration will be staked out prior to commencement of wood chip removal. Nuisance and non-native vegetation will be removed, including Phragmites, multifloral rose, purple loosestrife, and Ailanthus. Wetland seed mix will be used as specified to supplement the plantings. Drainage swales and existing structures will be cleared as part of the activity, and a total of 69 shrubs and 17 trees will be planted to replace the cut trees and reestablish a shrub layer in the wetland. So what that looks like from a plan perspective, these are the plantings being proposed. They're more or less symbols, but in a sense, they're going to match the count of plantings that he's outlined in the schedule up above. The green area here, as requested by Conservation Board, will be seeded with a wildlife forage and cover meadow mix, which is to be mowed a couple of times a year. So that's the mitigation that's being proposed. And at this point, I'm ready to answer any questions that the board may have.
Hey, Joe, I understand there used to, if I'm not mistaken, there used to be like a flooding problem here.
That's correct. So as part of the original construction of this home, the builder at the time agreed to put in a substantial stone-lined swale and pipe collection system along this edge of the road, intercepting all the water coming in, shedding in off the properties to the west. In addition to that, new piping was put in and catch basins were put in to enhance what was already there. And yeah, so that was all done to alleviate some of that flooding concern.
Joe, have you met with or your client have gone to the tree commission? Have you received their latest memo?
Yes, we did, and that was addressed in the plan, in this plan that Steve Marino did. He addressed their comments by providing the additional information.
Right.
I think one or two of the points that they made were relating to obtaining a tree permit, well, we're not really asking for a tree permit. This is more of a, to address an enforcement action and get a wetland permit for the disturbance that was done in the wetland.
Right.
He had already obtained a tree permit.
Correct. And then DEP's comments.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why they're weighing in. They have no jurisdiction on this.
I understand, but my question though is about the Western red cedar not being native to the region. If it's a non-native plant, is there any consideration to a different specimen?
I think that's been eliminated.
It has. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm looking at this here.
No, the see the Western Arbor green
green giant.
Yep.
I'll have them take another look at it, and we'll substitute it. I guess Steve felt that this is a fine plant to use. I mean, I can't really speak to that.
Yeah, I understand.
But if that's really a concern, then we'll.
My only point is that if we're saying that he took out 41 non-native trees, but we're replacing it with non-natives,
Right.
That's my only point.
Understood.
Okay.
We'll take care of that.
Okay. Any other questions from the board before we open the public comment? Hearing none, then we will turn it over to our town clerk, Diana Quast, and we will open it up for public comment. Diana?
You have to remove the screen share because I can't see anybody.
Okay.
Help. Thanks, Joe.
Yep.
Since we have a lot of people on, I'm going to suggest that you raise your hand if you would like to speak for this public hearing. Okay, Liz, why don't you go first?
Liz, can you hear us? I don't know, Liz, if you're connected.
I don't think they have sound. Yeah.
Connected to the audio so we can hear you.
Are we good?
Yep. Perfect.
Okay,
Good evening.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank you, Supervisor Slater. Can you lower that? Sorry, getting feedback from my TV.
Yeah, you just put it on mute, and this way you can eliminate it.
You know how many emails I've sent you in the last year and a half, and
Yep.
how upset I've been, and my neighbors, and speaking up for everybody here. I also wanted to thank the board members and the Conservation Committee and the Tree Committee for taking a look at this. This all started when about those 77 trees came down, and then Mr. Almeida went in and took down a bunch more trees. And I'd like to know why did he want 77 trees cut down? Because the majority of those trees were, I think they were elm trees. No, Norway maple trees.
Yeah, well, right now Liz, if you could just
All
provide
right.
comment to the town board.
So those 77 trees were on one side of his property, and then he took it upon himself to take down more trees in the back of his house and on the side of the house and in the wetland. He removed all the brush. There's nothing left on that property. I mean, barely any grass growing back, and about maybe 8 trees. I don't know. There was over 100 trees on that property, and now there's 8 trees. I just could never figure out why he did that. Like, what was the reason for it? I mean, if I knew what the reason was, then maybe I could understand. But I just really don't know what to say anymore. I'm really concerned about all the water now because he cut back all those drain pipes. Now he wants all the water to come towards my house. The only thing separating my house from that wetland is my driveway, which is like 13 feet wide. And my property actually falls into that wetland with him. So, like, anything that's going on there, I'd like to have a say in. I mean, I'd like to see the swell. The swell was destroyed when all his guys went in there. He dug 2 big holes in the earth, and no one wants to talk about that. But all those tree limbs need to come out. He brought a backhoe in there, he had neighbors move their cars to take trees down. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous. I've said enough. I'm just basically want to see something happen to this property so that the neighbors can walk around and feel like they're not living next to like a vacant lot, because that's what it feels like. And I don't know if anyone else can comment, but the 3 houses that are directly across the street from him, the lady that lives across the street from him after 25 years moved out. She couldn't take it. The house next to that went on fire. And the house next to that is a senior who's made many calls into your office about this, and he's just tired. And the house behind him was sold. They don't want to live there anymore. And there's another house for sale behind them. So nobody's happy about living here. And I'm just interested to see what everyone else has to say. And I hope that all this wetland stuff gets fixed before he gets all the stuff that he wants.
Well, that's why we're here. And that's why we need to, that's why there's a public hearing, and we can get your input and concerns, and we can make sure, at least try to make sure that we address them all before anything moves forward.
This was a wetland for over 70 years. It was like a forest. There was a habitat living in there, and the whole thing is gone now, and nobody has any privacy anymore. All the drain pipes are broke. I don't know why they think they're just gonna like push all this water over to the corner of Hallian and Brookdale, which already has so many drainage problems. Every time it rains, there's a lake down there. All the road is corroding on the left-hand side of Junior Lake. Anyone that goes over to the park, there's like 2 feet holes now. So like something needs to be done. And I'm just thankful for you to getting us this far, really, honestly.
Well, we're happy to do it, Liz. Thank you.
All right.
Susan?
Ms. Siegel, if you could unmute yourself.
Got that. Thank you. As Ms. Sharon said, this has been going on for over 1.5 years. I think this is a very unfortunate case of the lack of code enforcement in the town and the lack of taking proper action. It's been over 1 year. 1.5 years, she said. I was privy to some email exchanges back in November when, and then it even went to the planning board in January of 2021 when the applicant was supposed to have a remediation plan, and that was with the prior engineer. 1 year has gone by and nothing has happened. And I have to say, there's just no excuse for that lack of action, that some of this could have been fixed up 12 months ago. With that said, and I'd also like somebody to comment, and perhaps, I don't know if, Dan, if you've been at the site, but I remember going to this site many months ago, and the drainage, I don't know if swale is the correct word, but at Brookdale, which was having an icing problem. And as part of the very original permit for this site, the applicant was supposed to put in this drainage channel, okay? When I was there, I didn't see a drainage channel. So with now, when you're going to have the level spreaders have the water flow down and seep down into the wetland, there could be, depending on the extent of the sheet flow, water going down onto Brookdale, creating the icing situation that should have been corrected had the property owner maintained the swale or the trench, whatever you want to call it, in the first place. And I'd like to know whether that's being addressed. Having said that, and knowing the problems with a stop order that was over 1 year ago, and the debris hasn't been cleaned up, and the neighbors have lived with this mess, I'd like to make a suggestion that you have 2 parts of this application. One is to remediate the damage that the applicant did 1 year ago. Then he also wants to make additional improvements. You mentioned a shed, widening the driveway, and a retaining wall to give more a front yard. What I would like to suggest that you do in your approving resolution is, 1, he has to do all the remediation measures first. He has to do the plantings. He has to put the drainage in. He has to make sure that the drainage is proper as the land abuts Brookdale. Once that has been certified by the town, by the building inspector, the highway department, the town engineer, then he can apply, then he can proceed with those additional improvements he wants to make for his property. Because based on what has happened, based on his history, he does things, he violates the laws. That's been documented because he was cited with violations and given a stop work order. So we have a history, plus a year going by without taking any steps to remediate the damage that he did. So I'm not saying don't grant him the permit. He has a right to improve. He has to fix up what he destroyed, okay, destroyed, damaged. But don't let him proceed with his additional improvements until you are totally satisfied and the neighbors are satisfied that he has corrected the damage that he did. Those are my suggestions in a two-part type of an approving resolution. And that the building department is made aware of this fact and that he cannot proceed. I don't know if he's going to need a building permit for his retaining wall or for his shed. He might not. So that means that the onus is on the engineering department, probably the engineering, not the building, but I'm not sure, to make sure that he doesn't proceed with those improvements, because I think Mr. Rena said that he already has materials on the site for his front yard work. Well, let him have that and continue having that until he does the planting, and the plantings probably can't take place until April, May. But he should not be allowed to continue and improve the property until he has shown good faith. And he has not shown good faith since more than a year and a half ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Siegel. Other
Sorry,
comments?
one quick thing. Sorry, Supervisor Slater, can I share a photo, please?
Not usually allowed since we don't know what it is. That's the problem.
Well, I sent it to you. I already sent it to you. It's a picture of his property showing all the beautiful trees. That's all it is. He was able to show a picture of half of a woods last December, I guess, after he chopped everything down. But I want to show everybody what it looked like before he did that.
No, I mean, we have, if you send it to me, we'll make sure it gets circulated to the town board, the photo. Only because, again, I don't know what it is.
No, they already saw it. I want the public to see it. I think it's only fair. It's a picture of some trees.
No, I understand. But again, I just, only because we haven't
send
seen
it to
yet.
Diana and she can show it.
That's fine.
You can send it to me and I'll put it as part of the record.
That's perfect. Please send it to the clerk and she can show it.
And may I just add something? I think, is the town board aware of a memo that the planning board sent back in January? The planning board met and if you have a copy of that, could that be read? Because I think the planning board was appalled by the condition of the lot. Yes. As I was appalled when I saw it with the debris, with the stumps that weren't supposed to be taken out, just strewn over this site, which is the entranceway into Brookdale. It was a disgrace. It was an abomination. And I can feel for the neighbors who live there and had to see this for well over a year. Again, I'm not stopping Mr. Alameda from improving his property, but I'm saying make sure he remediates what he did before he can make any other improvements that he wants, because somehow I think you can't trust him.
Thank you. And I'm going to remind everyone that this is a public hearing, and so we're not going to let it turn into a free-for-all. So you're only going to be able to speak if you're called upon. So this way we can keep some order. I understand that people are passionate about this, understandably so. But again, we need to keep order during this public hearing. All comments are going to be directed to the town board. And if we can't do that, we will have to take additional actions, including limiting the time for testimony and keeping everyone to a timer. So, Diana, if you have another person.
Actually, Supervisor Slater, if I may also, we should not be making any disparaging comments about anyone. We should be sticking to factual comments about the application and leave the personalization out of it. It's not helpful, and it doesn't do any good for what we're trying to achieve here.
Thank you, Councilman. I appreciate that as well. Diana?
Next is Diego Cardillo.
Okay, Mr. Cardillo.
Across the street.
Yes, good evening, everybody.
I'm sorry, Mr. Cardillo, 1 second. If you're not speaking, Please mute yourself. Thank you. Mr.
I'm
Cardillo.
sorry. Do you hear me?
Yes, sir. You're good to go.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Just want to let you know, I live across the street from Mr. Media. I've been living there for 20 years. Always had a problem with water in the property. When they building this house, I think they did a good job with the drainage out in the front, and I resolved my problem with the water. Somebody said that they didn't do any drainage on their property. They did it. I was there when they built the house. So they connect everything to the drainage. This is one thing. Second thing I heard, and the first lady, I don't know the name, she said that they remove a lot of trees that they were alive or stuff like that. Those trees that they removed, they were dead. And actually, I'm so happy they did that because those trees were falling on the road so many times. And the town was sending people to work there and clean the road so many times. So I'm so happy that sometimes the tree were falling on my car too. But I'm so happy they did that too. The lady next to me, then she moved not because of the problem and the work. She moved because the house was not livable. The drainage is unbelievable. I don't have nothing to say about that. You know, it's the stuff that is outside there. The block, he didn't do the work because it was stopped. It would have been done probably. He wants to do improve his property. Then I agree with that. I don't think he did nothing illegal. He's got everything on paper, and I don't know what to say else to that.
Thank you, Mr. Cardillo.
No problem.
Anyone else who would like to speak on this particular application? We have one raised hand down here, sir.
Oh, hi. Good evening.
Can you speak your name for the record, please?
Yeah, it's Ryan Wiles. I'm a neighbor of Mr. Almeida's. I would just like to echo Diego's sentiments. You know, I really can't say anything to, you know, about the drainage issues, but I could just talk about the way it looked. And previous to what Hector had done, it in my opinion, it did not look very good. It just looked kind of like dirty brush. It didn't really look like, you know, the trees didn't look alive. They didn't look like they were, you know, particularly healthy. So, I mean, as far as I can see, it looks like an improvement to the area. And that's all I really have to add for that.
Thank you, Ryan. We appreciate that. Anyone else would like to speak on this application? Anybody else would like to speak? No? Okay. Do you have anybody else, Diana, that you know that wanted to speak?
No, I do not.
Okay. Ms. Sheeran? You can just unmute yourself. There you go.
I just wanted you to know that I just sent Diana 2 pictures of the house when it was built and what it looked like. I'd like to share that with everyone because those pictures before are just a joke. I think it's fair that everyone look at those, and then you could resume your discussion with the board members as far as how you want to move forward with this.
Thank you, Ms. Sheeran. Diana, did you get those photos? You're muted,
I
Diana.
just sent them to you because I can't share my screens.
Let's see. All right, just give me 2 seconds and we'll pull them up. That's not what I want to do. Well, all right, here's what we're gonna do. It's not gonna be pretty, but here's the best we can do. There you go. I know the quality's not great. I don't know.
The picture with his house is the one.
So this is some of the brush, I believe, that was there.
You can't even see my house. That's how much brush was there. And then after the house is built, you could see.
Down over here, this bottom photo. Like. And this bottom photo is what you were. Bigger? Not really, no.
Yeah.
It's not letting me make that bigger.
All right, everyone can tell that it doesn't look like the pictures that Joe Reno was posting there.
Okay, well.
And that's facing my house, and you can't see my house. But if you go back to the other photos, you can see my house as clear as day. So, but thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. With that, if there's no other comments. No other comments. Sir, your hand's up. I see iPhone on the pen couch. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Can you state your name, please?
My name is Evandro Mayor. I'm a neighbor. And I think that he's doing, for me, from my view, is a good job because his land was very filled, dirty, and a lot of, I don't know. It looks much better for me. That's what I'm going to say.
Thank you, sir.
He's trying to do improvement on his house, and I don't know why they stopped. It would be done a long time ago.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Mr. CRC, is there anything you wanted to add to this?
I mean, I think the drainage stuff is pretty straightforward. I mean, we'll go back out there to ensure that it's all functioning properly. They got infiltrators to address the additional runoff, but I guess really the issue is how this application has progressed from the prior applicant who came in to build the house to what we have now, which is this applicant had come out and proposed to remove trees, but I guess that application, the stumps were to remain. The stumps came out, we had an enforcement action, and now it's coming down to the mitigation. So I would say that I would lean heavily on the comments of the Conservation Board and our Tree Advisory Commission to give us an assessment as to what's appropriate mitigation. I mean, the original house plan, the amount of actual wetlands disturbance has increased quite a bit from the original application. But again, I would defer to those boards for their comments on those matters. But as far as the engineering stuff, as I stated, I think it's pretty straightforward. And we'll see to it that the drainage continues to work as intended on the original house application, which I think was 2017, I believe.
Very good. To the town board, what steps do we want to take next? Do we want to hold it open? Do we want to close?
Look, I think we could close it at this point. We have the major, we have tree, we have conservation, engineering. We've heard from some of the neighbors. I think the really important thing is people want to get this finished up. They, I think Liz wants her property looking better. I think that the area doesn't want to have this drainage issue going on. I seem to remember like I was saying before, the icing issue was really bad down there on the street. So I think it's important to get this moving and get the problems fixed. I'd ask the engineering and building departments to be on top of everything that's happening, and we could get this.
But the first really I wanted to know is are we comfortable closing, or do we feel we need to leave it open? So it's you're comfortable closing.
Yeah.
I am also comfortable closing.
Councilman Patel?
I would like to see, I think, let's just continue, because this problem will come back again unless everything is already done properly, really.
Right, but in order for it to be done properly, we need to close the hearing. So are you comfortable closing the hearing tonight?
No, I want to leave it open, okay? Because all the neighbors, I have seen it many times before you were there, So why did he even went to this far, Because there are too many other problems really, and I don't know whether you are familiar with that. Why did he go so far to damage the entire street?
But a public hearing wouldn't give us those answers. And I think that's one of the things that I'm hearing as well, is that regardless of how we got here, we need to put a period at the end of this conversation and for the sake of the neighborhood, so that the remediation can occur. And in order for the remediation to occur, we have to close a public hearing and be able to move that forward. I think that we should close the public hearing. I don't think that you're going to get more public comment that's going to, again, I understand your point, Councilman Patel, but I don't think that continuing the public hearing is going to provide the answers to the questions that you're raising. So, Councilman, if any councilman wants to make a motion, we can do that.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Councilman Patel?
My vote is no.
Okay, so we have 3-1. We're to close the public hearing.
It's my understanding that everything's being handled there as far as the way it should be, and what has to be done is getting done or going to be done at this point, and it just has to be watched upon by our engineering and our building department.
Correct. Very good. All right. Well, we thank everyone for their participation and their feedback. It's greatly appreciated, and we will continue through this process for this application.
Thank you.
And are you gonna work on conditions for a resolution? Dan Ciarcia?
Yeah, I'll make sure that I've got the final correspondence from the various agencies, and we'll craft a resolution based on those comments.
Yep, and I also agree with the comments made earlier that remediation should be completed first. I think that's a fair approach, considering the situation, and I would highly recommend that remediation be completed first before the improvements are made. And I understand again that the material may be there, but I think the neighborhood wants to see the remediation done.
Fine, and we'll make that sequence of construction a condition of the resolution.
Very good. Any comments on that from the town board, or are we all in agreement on that?
Yeah, agreed.
Okay.
Councilman Lachman, you're good? Councilman, okay. You're muted, Ed, just so you know.
He's still muted. We like him that way.
I was pressing the button, but apparently it wasn't working. So yes, I'm fine with it. I think, like I said, I don't see what purpose holding it open would be, and I do agree with the process of going through.
Okay. All right, Dan. So you have you have some guidance there from the board of what we'd like to see, and also just do me a favor, just follow up with Joe on the comments from DEP regarding the that one tree species, so we can make sure that we're doing that correctly since it's a non-native.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Very good. Thank you, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you very much.
Merry Christmas, all.
Merry Christmas, all.
All right. So next, we're going to go to a public hearing to consider the application for a wetland permit, MS4 stormwater management permit, and a tree permit submitted by the New York City Department of Environmental Protection for the bridge replacement at Baptist Church Road. And we have the team from DEP on. Adam, are you taking the lead there? Who's taking the lead?
Yeah, I think I'm going to take the lead, and I'll just do a quick verbal description of the project, if that's okay with you guys.
Not a problem. If we could just have the clerk just show the notice, so this way we check all the boxes. And Adam, if you want to, I'm sure she'll have it in 2 seconds.
There it is.
There it is. Beautiful. Thank you very much. Adam, the floor is yours. Thank you.
All right. Great. So as many of you know, we have a project in the pipeline to replace the Baptist Church Road Bridge, which is a small concrete arch bridge that runs over a finger of the New Croton Reservoir. This is one of about 4 bridge replacement projects that we have in the pipeline across the water supply right now, all of which are replacing bridges that are of the 1905 to 1915 vintage. We're responsible for 57 bridges and 99 miles of road north of the city. And when it comes to our bridges, we try to replace them on a schedule that prevents them from falling into a DOT rating that requires them to be load restricted or red flagged or anything like that. So this bridge is currently rated as fair. I think in the old system, structurally deficient is the next rating. So certainly we want to get this bridge replaced before we reach a rating that requires any restrictions. So the new bridge that we're going to build is meant to be faithful to the design and materials used when the original bridge was built in 1905. In fact, this design of this bridge has been reviewed and approved already by the State Historic Preservation Office. And for New York City projects, we have to go through an additional step of getting it approved by our Public Design Commission. We sort of think of the function, but they think of the fashion. So we did get that approved. The new one is going to be a concrete arch bridge, same as the existing one. And in fact, the granite coping stones that are on top of the existing bridge are going to be salvaged, cleaned up, and used on the new bridge. As I said, we're replacing the bridge for a couple reasons. One, there's a lot of cracking and spalling on the concrete arch. As I said, the DOT rating is fair. We certainly want to replace the bridge before that rating sinks any lower. And, also, as I noted, we are in a cycle now where we're replacing bridges of that 1905 to 1915 vintage. We did work really hard to limit the duration of the bridge closure. It's right now we do have some challenges to overcome at that site. As you know, it's a pretty tight site. We have a driveway on the north end of the bridge that we have to make sure stays open throughout the duration. We have to construct cofferdams and actually build bridge footings in the dry, which is time consuming. And at some point there is going to be, 2 cranes in operation, placing some of the structural concrete there as well. So, keeping that in mind, we did try to limit the bridge closure to the maximum extent we could using, some sped up bridge construction techniques. We're saying 18 months is an estimate. Could it be 16? Maybe. Could it be 20? Maybe. But that's sort of where we're aiming for now. We did have a nice discussion. I know some of the folks from the Huntersville Association are on the call, I think, tonight. We did have a nice meeting with a number of them on the bridge. It was clear to me that some of their concerns are, everyone likes a small, nice, old, romantic looking bridge, but some of the things that make it nice and romantic looking are exactly the reasons we have to replace it, which is that it's old and breaking. So we did have a nice discussion with them, talking about some of the things that were carried over in the design to try to maintain the aesthetic appeal. Essentially, the new bridge is going to look like this one looked in 1905 when it was new. We do have to widen this one slightly to meet modern DOT regs. We do have to put a slightly different kind of guide rail on, again, to meet modern day DOT regs. But other than that, we have tried our best to make something new look old, and make sure that we're meeting all the regs and specs we need to make to ensure that this bridge remains passable. So I think that's about all we have to share. Certainly, you guys can open the public hearing and go ahead and hear from folks in the town.
Adam, can you just remind me? And I apologize if you said it, but
Yeah.
when you were, my memory serves me correctly, you were trying to start in the spring. Is that accurate?
So it's going to go out to bid the project goes out to bid toward the end of 2022. So construction is probably not until 23.
23. Oh, okay.
Yep.
You got plenty of time. Very good.
Yep.
Okay. So with that, any questions from the town board? Yes, Councilman Diana?
If I may, this was the project that, if I'm not mistaken, Dave had expressed some concern about with the heavy vehicles that are going to be traveling over that roadway and the reclamation of those roadways due to the heavy truck traffic and or disturbance that they may cause to our road surfaces. Has any of that been addressed yet, Adam?
I mean, maybe Paul can weigh in. I'm not sure where we are on that, but I know, as with all of our projects, we do a pretty good survey and photo documentation of road conditions before and after. So,
right,
certainly something we're thinking about, Tom.
Okay.
Yeah, and Paul, this is Megan Young from Hardesty in Hanover. I can jump in there as well. So we are including in the specifications that they need to do a pre-road closure video documentation and photo documentation, so that you can see what the roadway looks like before the road is closed as well as after, and the contractor would be required to repair anything that's damaged during that time period.
Great.
Thank you, Megan.
Yep, of course.
Paul, anything you wanted to add there?
No, that's exactly it. I mean, we'll stress it to the contractors. We'll make it clear in the pre-bid. So we're going to pay, good attention to that. And we'll, of course, coordinate with the town if there's any issues that come up. If there's something that the town or, public sees, we want to hear about it. And we want to make sure it's addressed with regard to any damage to the roadway or any other issues.
Great. Any other questions from the town board? Dan Ciarcia. I'm sorry, Ed, go ahead.
It may be more of a question for Tommy on remembering. It might be more for Tommy for remembrance, but I think Dave was not only worried about the visual damage to the road, but the impact of the heavy trucks through a structural. Tommy, do you recall if that was?
Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, he just paved those roads, didn't he? Structurally, I forget if that was.
Those are recently paved.
Yeah, so that was the long and short of it. In regard to we didn't want to just get those roads all paved, and then those folks down in that area now have to
So, but are we
run over?
Yeah, are we comfortable with just like the video? Should there be some measurements on depression to see if it's destroying the road in that way? And Dan, I'm not an expert in this by far, so maybe I'll toss that one to you.
Well, I think the best thing is to do, as I said, that we should video document the condition of the road. Because the other thing that sort of plays into that is it's not just going to be the traffic. Because that's like in the staging area, they show it, but it's not all that big. And I'm just thinking, storing of the granite parts, staging of the precast arches, construction trailer. It's the kind of stuff that might scuff up the road. I mean, I think it's sort of inevitable that may happen in some locations, even if everybody's very careful. So I think, to protect everybody's interest, photo documenting the condition of the road. And, I know DEP will do the right thing. So if the road is damaged, I think they'll stand by making the necessary repairs.
All right, as long as you're
And we can always include that in any approving resolution that we
Right,
want.
yeah,
Because,
I mean, and
but I don't think
they
it should.
understand that's going to be part of the process to make sure everything gets put back together and.
So we'll make sure we can consult with Dave before final approval is given.
Because this will come back before final approval. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, we don't have a resolution or anything yet on this ready to go.
No.
So this way Dave can weigh in again and
Yep.
you know, when we speak with him, we can, you know, tell him, go take some pictures beforehand or whatever the case might be. And this way he can express his exact.
Well, he just texted me and he said he's good with video documentation. That's what he would like. So,
okay.
You know, we can include that, you know, to make sure that it's clear, obviously DEP and for DEP to make it clear to their contractor. So I'm sure we can do that in the correct manner, but I don't think that has any, you know, bearing on necessarily on the applications that we're going to open up a hearing for. Yeah, Councilman Patel.
Right.
The entire bridge is Yorktown, or is there anything, you know, from the other town, Cortland or anything? Is there any portion of the road from Cortland? Or this is 100% in Yorktown? Because, you know, it's a little border there, right? Is that the border?
Yes, the bridge is 100% in Yorktown.
Right, it's all ours.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful there, you know, but it's going to be closed down and the inconvenience and all that. But there will be plenty of, you know, information shared with the ambulance and fire and like that, you know.
Right.
I mean, okay.
Well, yeah, we're talking 2023, so we've got plenty of time to make sure that.
You know, it'll be a big improvement, really. It'll be very nice. Yes.
All right. If Dan, is there anything that you wanted to add before we opened it up to public comment?
No, they've done a very thorough job of all the issues we'd be looking to review. So that being said,
did we get a memo? Forgive me, and maybe I missed it, but did we get a memo from Tree?
I don't believe I saw one.
I just want to make sure I didn't miss it. Di, do you know if we got a memo from the Tree Commission?
I'll check.
Yeah, because we're taking down, I believe it's 90 trees, and 10 of the 90, I guess, are specimen trees. Is that right, Adam?
Yeah, we can't get the cranes in there to do the work without taking them down. So yeah, it's about 90.
And is there a mitigation proposal then for?
Yeah, so there's going to be about 15 to 20 replanted, and then, you know, we obviously know we have a big forestry program internally, and, you know, it's our expectation that the remaining seed bearing trees will do a really good job reforesting the rest as they have in other projects.
Okay.
I don't see one in the in my comments folder.
Okay.
We will check with them tomorrow.
Great, thank you.
Do we have one from the Conservation Board?
Yeah, the Conservation Board.
Yeah,
we do, and the Conservation Board has no objection with the replacement of the bridge. They met with Jeff of DEP at their October 20th meeting, so they had no objection, which is good. Anything else? Otherwise, we'll open it up and hear from the public.
Okay. We should open it up.
And we will open up the public hearing.
And don't forget, we got to get comments from DEP. Their own agency needs to comment on this. Good luck.
Hey, all jokes aside, sometimes we're harder on ourselves than we are on others. Sometimes you hear that, aren't we on the same team? Yeah, but we got to hold ourselves accountable.
Diana, you wanna introduce for us so we can open it up? And again, if we could, just please make sure your comments are focused and at the town board on the application itself, and again, making sure that they're respectful. Diana,
okay, we'll start with Paul Moskowitz.
Mr. Moskowitz.
Hello. Thank you for the opportunity of speaking on this project. I'm speaking as the president of the Huntersville Association. As Adam said, we had a very nice meeting with Adam and the other DEP staff people on the bridge. The people there were, of course, me, other directors of the Huntersville Association, and some of the Baptist Church Road residents. And the DEP people were very good in standing around and answering all of our questions. So what I can say is they have a plan. It looks like it's a good plan. We hope it'll come out the way they show it in their drawings. So we'll see. We're not happy that we have to have our road closed for a year and a half because it interrupts, for us, a lot of pedestrian traffic. People walk and bicycle on that road. Also, many people commute and they go to Croton and they have to take that road, although there are other routes. So traffic will be diverted to the other north-south roads and the Route 129 over Causeway. So anyway, we were impressed by the knowledge and the thoroughness of the DEP people, and we'll see how it works out.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your comments about the DEP people. That's funny. Sorry. Next. Adam got a laugh out of it.
I don't see what's funny. That was not an intentional joke.
I know, but I still found it amusing.
Okay.
Diane, anyone else who wants to speak on the application? Sarah?
Sarah?
No?
I don't. Susan, do you want to speak on this? Okay.
No? All right. Nope. Since there's no other comments and Hunterville Association seems to be impressed and on board again with most of it, understanding the inconvenience of the road closures, I think we can go ahead to make a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
That's if the DEP people let us.
Make it sound like we're our own species. Hey, Paul has my cell phone number, so if he has a problem, he knows where to ring me day or night.
Excellent.
Right? I want to see how he has you registered in his phone. DEP people.
I know he's a DEP person. That's
person.
I have a comment for the Adam. You know, the entire New York State and in New York City, Wall Street is watching what you're doing. Okay, there will not be any Wall Street or business without the water. Okay.
Well, listen, we've had a perfect batting average for 180 years. It's not going to be on our watch that we ruin that, okay?
Well,
oh boy. No pressure.
Very nice.
No pressure.
All the pressure in the world.
Adam, Paul, and Megan, thank you very much. We appreciate your time, and we appreciate the participants. Paul Moskowitz, thank you, and the Hunterville Association.
See you all.
Hey, Supervisor Slater, this is Ron Roman from Hardesty in Hanover. What would our next steps be now after this here?
So Dan Ciarci, our town engineer, will craft an improving resolution for the board's consideration, incorporating the feedback that we've received so far. I do think that it's important that we just understand the tree aspect, which I think is more technical. Our town clerk's gonna be just making sure that the tree commission can just weigh in just to provide their feedback, and that'll help us craft the approving resolution.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Take care. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Megan.
Yeah, everybody. Take it easy.
Take care. Happy New Year.
Good show.
All right. Last but not least, we do have a final public hearing. This is a public hearing for a proposed local law amending Chapter 168 that will say that the town board shall establish by resolution a master fee schedule setting forth the fees to be charged to applicants. Just as a point of information and background, we found deficiencies within the master fee schedule as it relates to solar at certain points during the year. We tried several times to make the necessary adjustments, but under the current code, it requires a law change and changing the entire master fee schedule rather than individual fees, which was a good exercise because it did point out the fact that the master fee schedule hadn't been properly reviewed by department heads in a few years. So we have incorporated it. The goal was to incorporate it into the budgetary process. Within the budgetary process, department heads now review the master fee schedule as part of their budgetary review. What this does, though, will allow the town greater flexibility in adjusting the master fee schedule as needed. It had previously, as a point of information, it had previously been done by resolution in this fashion, and then was changed. But I think that in order to provide greater flexibility for our departments, changing it back to allowing us to do it by resolution would be the right course of action. And so that is what we're doing. We're not here to approve the master fee schedule. I want to make sure everyone understands that. We're not approving the master fee schedule. This is just a procedural amendment to allow us to do so via resolution moving forward. Mr. Rodriguez, did I explain that properly?
Yeah, I think you did. I would only add that, there were some other minor tweaks to the law in order to allow for more flexibility. Well, really to make it clear that it's not just fees, but it's other forms of financial security for permits and things, bonds, letters of credit, et cetera. So it's really like a wordsmithing exercise in that regard.
Okay.
And there was some concern that duplication of an increase in the price, you have to pay double. One guy, the contractor pay, and then the guy who has to pay same amount or duplicate, so those things will be resolved, right? Later on in the future?
Later on in the process, but that can be resolved via resolution rather than forcing us into the exercise of changing and updating the entire fee schedule when you're only trying to change one aspect of it. And so that's the problem we keep running into. We only wanted to change one thing, but because of the way that it's written and the procedure in place, it forces us to change the entire thing, which again was a good exercise because it revealed clear deficiencies, but it just provides greater flexibility for the town to be able to change or examine and just make the adjustments to that one item on the master fee schedule if we wanted to. Other questions from the town board?
Nope.
Just wondering if you think it would be worthwhile to put into the adoption of the resolution that there be a work session dedicated to looking at the master fee schedule every year.
Well, no, the master fee schedule is reviewed as part of the budget now.
So so it's going to remain.
So it's going to remain as part of the budget because it forces the department. Again, like I said earlier, we realized when we went to update it for the one thing we wanted to update, and we had to do it for the entire fee schedule. It became very clear that departments hadn't reviewed their fee schedules in quite some time. So we are going to require them to do it as part of the budgetary process every year to make sure that the fees continue to reflect modern times, and also again, it gives us the flexibility if we want to change one item within the fee schedule, we can do that. So does that make sense? Did that clarify that, Councilman Lachterman?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions from the town board? Mr. Rodriguez, anything else you wanted to add?
Nope, not at this time.
To our town clerk, Diana Quas, anything you wanted to add on this subject? Because I know that you work with me on this.
Just that the current master fee schedule, which was passed, I believe, in 2017, is the one that stands right now until the town board changes it by resolution if they choose to pass this local law.
Correct. So again, this is not approving a new master fee schedule.
Correct.
That's not what we're doing here. I just want to make sure we're crystal clear on that. So with that, we will open it up for public comment. And Diana, I'll turn it over to you.
Susan Siegel, did you want to comment on this?
Yes, I did. I want to thank the town board for taking this action. It's long overdue. And as you said, Supervisor Slater, there was an attempt back in, I think it was possibly 2017 to change it. And I'm glad that some members of the town board have changed their mind and now support by resolution. It makes a lot more sense. But I would like to bring up one of the issues in the fee schedule that I hope once you adopt this law and simplify the process, the issue of legal fees that I have been bringing up at several successive budget hearings. These fees, I think, were put into the master fee schedule in I think roughly 2017, probably. There are about 6 or 7 different fees, ranging from $750 to $1,000 when the town attorney or the planning board attorney has to review certain legal documents, such as easements. And as somebody who sits at, observes at the planning board, there are multiple applications where the property owner, as part of a site plan or subdivision approval, is granting an easement to the town. Stormwater agreements have to be reviewed, variance requests before the zoning board, even transfers of deeds, like we talked about lot number 7 on Broad Street.
Yes,
we're not collecting this fees. The last time I checked with the comptroller, since the fee was instituted, it's never been collected, but the work is being done. So either eliminate the fee, change the fee if you think it's too much, or start collecting the fee. But I hope that, having given the attention to the master fee schedule, you will now deal with this particular fee. Thank you. And again, thank you for doing it by resolution. I totally support it. It was during my administration that we adopted a master fee document.
Thank you, Ms. Siegel. Next.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this public hearing?
Sarah Wilson.
Sarah Wilson.
I've been waiting till now.
Go ahead.
So congratulations, Supervisor Slater, again, for the granting of those grants, which you mentioned at the beginning of the meeting. That's great news.
And thank you for your help on the CSC task force.
Well, our little $5,000 is pretty puny against 5.7 million, but thank you anyway.
Every little bit helps.
It's still a 5, Sarah. It's still a 5.
So with respect to the public hearing on the master fee schedule, I also support having the town board have the ability to modify by resolution those master fees. Because we don't want to wait another year budget cycle to have that flexibility. One of the items that is not in the 2017 current master fee schedule, but was proposed as an addition to the 2020 budget, was the event fee, which was discussed at the November 9th town board meeting. And ultimately, 2 sentences were put into the master fee schedule, the proposed master fee schedule, specifically listing certain events that would be grandfathered in and not subject to this new event fee of 50% of town workforce expenses or $1,000 per day at the discretion of the chief of police for events that require a street closure permit or a police presence, or at the recommendation of the chief of police. And those were the Memorial Day Parade, the Veterans Day Parade, the Fireman's Parade and Carnival, the Halloween Parade, the Summer Concert Series, the Holiday Lights Parade, the New Year's Eve Ball Drop, and the Yorktown Street Fair. So I just wanted to mention that list didn't include the Yorktown Grange Tractor Parade, which I know some people spoke about. It's been going on for 100 years, so it certainly meets the criteria for a long-standing event. And then the Yorktown Street Fair was added, which hadn't been discussed during the November 9th meeting. And I guess that's probably because it's co-sponsored by the town, and it's been going on for quite some time. The $1,000 per day option hadn't come up during the discussion either. So I'd just be interested in the rationale for the 50% versus the 1,000 per day, and maybe that's in response to the San Gennaro type thing where it's a multi-day type event. There was some discussion about potential exemptions, and then that gets messy. But I'm just wondering whether there's any procedure to for an event sponsor potentially to ask for an explanation regarding the discretionary decision, that led to a fee being assessed. Obviously just because an organization is tax exempt or nonprofit doesn't mean that they should be exempt from the fee. Clearly San Gennaro is an excellent example of that, where the fee should be assessed. So just looking for a little clarification on whether there's any kind of recourse to questioning what that fee might be if it is assessed. With respect to Councilman Diana's comment about the 2 marches that had taken place in June of 2020, one of them took place in the Heights, and that was organized by an ad hoc group of residents. The other one was organized by Lakeland staff, students, parents, and alumni, and took place in Shrub Oak. And both of these were expressions of free speech in response to national events and school district policies. So, while permit procedures may require submitting an application in advance of a planned event, authorities shouldn't be using that permit procedure to prevent a protest in response to breaking news events by imposing a financial penalty. Councilman Diana also mentioned Yorktown's first ever Pride event, which took place in June of this year. And in my view, that was a very joyful celebration during Pride Month and brought people in from all over northern Westchester who then stayed and bought lunch and spent money in town. There was no fee for any participants. Several of our Yorktown faith organizations set up refreshment tables on Veterans Road and greeted the participants at the end. But would I be correct in assuming that this event would be subject to the charge, again, at the discretion of the chief? But for example, if the town was a co-sponsor, then potentially it wouldn't be. So just trying to clarify that. Again, just looking for clarification on how this new fee will be administered, and just wanted to again point out the distinction between a planned event such as the Pride event versus a public march or a rally. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Any other public comments on the proposed change to Chapter 168?
Oh, with the tractor parade, I think that was mentioned. It may have just been not put in for the Grange Fair, I believe. I think that was just one that was overlooked. That quite possibly we'll have to look into that one.
Yeah. Any other comments? I see Sergio Esposito's got his hand up.
Yeah, just to reflect
This is about
on
Chapter 168.
I'm sorry.
Chapter 168. Yes.
Yeah, just to reflect on how the street fair is handled as far as fees go. The chamber does pay fees and cover personnel, some personnel. I believe our fees were almost $5,000 this year. So when we talk about the street fair as it relates to other events, the chamber does have a considerable amount of money that we do lay out to cover some of the costs of the town, even though it is a co-sponsored event. That should be something that's considered as well in your fee structure on how it's assessed, I guess. And that's my only comment. Thank you.
Thank you, Sergio. Any other comments on Chapter 168, which moves the alteration of the fee schedule to a resolution? That's what we're focused our conversation on. No other comments? We'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Does the board feel inclined to adopt? So that this.
I do. I think that some of the issues brought up today are issues that could be taken care of through resolution. but to adopt to go to resolution gives us that flexibility. So I'd make a motion to adopt.
I'd second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously for the adoption of the amendments to Chapter 168, the master fee schedule. Very good. With that, there's no other business before the board unless anyone has anything they want to add. None? Well, I wish everyone again a very Merry Christmas, very safe and Merry Christmas, and thank you for all that you do for the town of Yorktown. It's greatly appreciated. And we will make a motion to adjourn, returning back on December 28th.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas, all.
Happy New Year and happy holidays.